What's going on, everybody, and welcome to today's video. Today, we're making waffles. These are homemade white chocolate raspberry protein bars that you can have even on your busiest of days, and it's a perfect sweet treat that's not only gonna help you satisfy your sweet tooth, but also hit your protein goals at the end of the day. Guys, you're gonna love this recipe. Let's dive right in. Okay, maybe we're not making waffles, but today we are going to be making white chocolate raspberry protein bars. And guys, I am super excited. I will let you in on a little bit of a secret though. We're working with some unfavorable amount of ingredients. I didn't quite have enough whey protein to completely make this thing perfect to a T, so you can always add in a little bit more. And not only that too, but today is actually going to be the very first time I ever make this too. But I put some thought into this guy, and I think it's going to work out just perfect, even with the amount of ingredients that we have here. So today's recipe is going to be able to be made with 4 simple ingredients, and it really shouldn't take too long to prep. So let's get started. First off, what you are going to need is you are going to need a pan right about yay big, okay? And we're going to move all of the ingredients out of the way so we don't get confused on the order that goes into them, and I'll be telling you guys the amount as we go on. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna take your pan, and what I'm going to do is I'm gonna take some tape here. So there's no microwaving involved when it comes to this pan. So we can throw some tape. I'm just gonna make little circles here with the tape and put 4 in each corner of the pan here. And what that's going to do is, right here, I cut up some parchment paper, and we're going to be using the parchment paper for a very specific reason. Actually, you guys will see exactly why I'm gonna be using the parchment paper here at the end of the video. But guys, again, I have not made this recipe yet, and I'm just kind of going off of a hunch that I think we have the right amount of ingredients here, and I'm pretty positive it's going to be tasting bomb. Okay, so what we have going on, you guys might be able to see I have the tape in each corner of the pan there. And then what we're gonna do is you're going to take some parchment paper, grab yourself some scissors, and then cut that parchment paper, or you can even use wax paper too, because there's no microwaving that's going on here. We're gonna take this parchment paper, which is what we're using here today, and then place it directly over the pan, and then you put tape in each corner of the pan here. So that tape should theoretically be able to hold that parchment paper down and in place. And the main thing is, when we do this, is we want to make sure that there is not any bumps in the parchment paper. Okay, it's not going too bad. It's not going too bad. We might have to rely on the weight of the ingredients to hold this in also, because I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it's looking like the tape is not sticking or clinging to the parchment paper. Go figure. Wax paper, parchment paper, I couldn't see that adhering to the tape too well. Okay, we're good. We're gonna keep it right in place. So basically how we're going to go about making these white chocolate raspberry protein bars is in reverse order. So we're gonna start with the top of the protein bar. That is when we're using raspberries. And then we're going to make a concoction with whey protein and plain non-fat Greek yogurt. We're gonna put that in after the raspberry. And then at the top, we're gonna melt ourselves some white chocolate chips and then pour that all on top. So let's dive in. What we're going to do now is we're going to take 16 ounces or 2 small packets of raspberries here. And we just have normal raspberries, not frozen, because you will see why here in a second. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pour all these raspberries completely over this entire thing. It's all said and done. It's gonna look like a pan full of raspberries. Come on, go figure. But now you guys can kind of see. So what I am going to do now is I'm going to get a good sized fork. You could use a fork. You could probably use some other utensil that might work a little bit better. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take our fork and we are just going to get a mashing. And honestly guys, this might take some time. Try not to pierce your parchment paper. You might have to get a little bit on the edges with the fork. But again, this might take some time. This is the first time we are ever trying this recipe, guys, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be bomb. So I just want to remind you guys that the top of these protein bars are going to be with the raspberries, as you see right here. So this right here is going to be the consistency of the raspberry that we want it to be. We basically want it to become this mush, this raspberry mush, all on top of the protein bar. So I'm gonna continue to smash these raspberries in, and then I'll follow up with you here in a little bit. All right, guys, so we are back. We finally got all the raspberries mashed, and I will say we did make a pan transfer, okay? So this pan, a little bit bigger than this pan. I noticed that the raspberries weren't really covering the entire pan, so we're gonna make a little change here. We set this guy off to the side, out of camera view. We have the raspberries all smashed. I would highly suggest if you have like a potato masher or something like that, maybe use that rather than a fork. It'll save you a little bit of time, but I just used the fork and basically went in here and went hog wild and made this raspberry puree. And honestly, look at that. That actually, I could honestly just go in with this, but we're not gonna do that because we got some bars to make. So now what we're going to do, now that this is perfectly, even though you can't quite see with the packaging around this, I'm gonna try and get a better angle here for you guys. There we go. Okay. So with this smashed raspberry puree that we have now created, now what we're going to do is set this guy aside, okay? And we are going to take our plain non-fat Greek yogurt and 75 grams of whey protein powder. Now with this, with it being a white chocolate raspberry protein bar, we want to consider what type of whey protein flavor we use. I would highly suggest something along the lines of vanilla flavor or even like white chocolate flavored. Today, what we are going to be using is PE Selects. This would be the Amazing Cake Pop whey protein, and PE Science Select, absolutely love their protein. You can even cook with their protein also, but again, Cake Pop, there's the image for you. You can kind of get a good understanding that it's gonna be like a vanilla-y style or flavor of a cake. So we got that whey protein all in here. 75 grams is what is in here. That's about 3 servings or 3 scoops of the whey protein. And again, you can always add in a little bit more protein if you want to bump that protein up a little bit higher, but that's all we have to work with here today. Now what we're going to do, alongside of the 75 grams of whey protein, then what we're going to do is we're going to take 4 servings. Actually, hold on. Hey Siri, what is 170 times 5?
170 times 5 is 850.
Hey Siri, what is 4 times 170?
4 times 170 is 680.
Okay, so we're gonna be taking 4 servings of plain non-fat Greek yogurt. So that is 680 grams, okay? And I usually go by the gram because it's most accurate. So if you guys are not using this technique already, what you're going to want to do, and actually, I'm gonna grab a bigger bowl than this now that I think about it. So what you're gonna wanna do, grab yourself a big bowl here, and when it comes to adding anything into the bowl, when you're weighing your food, like peanut butter, like plain non-fat Greek yogurt, don't put the bowl on the scale, put the Greek yogurt on the scale, and then pull away or pull out from the Greek yogurt. It's gonna save you a lot of time, and it's gonna save you a lot of extra dishes that just don't need to be made. So 680 grams, we got this scale zeroed out. This is plain non-fat Greek yogurt here. So I'm just gonna go to town. It's gonna be a lot of it in here. This is gonna be the main base of the protein bar. This and the combination of the whey protein. Now, there's a couple factors that come into play here when we're making these. We wanna make sure that there's enough thickness in these protein bars, but we also wanna make sure that it's not too thick, because the only way that these bars are going to harden is by us throwing it in the freezer. And so there is going to be the perfect ratio. Hopefully we have the right size pan here to where we put this on top, and then when that freezes, it's not breaking your teeth when you're actually biting into the protein bar. So that's the last thing I want for you guys to do, is to be getting some gains in the gym with your muscles, but also losing some teeth at the same time. That's the last thing we want. Okay, we're almost there, almost there. Okay, so now we have 682 on the scale, but guess what? It's okay. Might lick the spoon. So now that we have that, I'm gonna set this plain non-fat Greek yogurt off to the side, and then we're gonna take our 75 grams of PE Science whey protein. And again, you can add in different amounts of protein if you want. You can add in different flavor of whey protein, but I would highly suggest, with it being the white chocolate raspberry, that it is like a vanilla-based flavor. So 75 grams going in the hatch. Once we got that on or in there, then we're gonna set the scale off to the side, and then we're gonna get mixing again. That's right, guys. You guys might get a nice little pump just making this recipe with smashing the raspberries, mixing up the Greek yogurt and the whey protein. Oh, and I'm over here just making a mess. It is looking amazing. Look at this texture right here. It is honestly, like I was saying, kind of like a soft cloud-like texture. Ooh, that looks so good here, guys. I honestly almost decided to go ahead and lick the spoon and just call it quits with the entire recipe, but guess what? We're not gonna be doing that today because I'm dedicated to you guys. And I'm dedicated to you guys getting some good, tasty meals. And not only that too, but I actually wanna see what this tastes like too. Okay, so enough of me rambling. This is completely mixed up in its entirety. Now, okay. Now what we're gonna do, we are gonna take those smashed raspberries. We are going to take our plain non-fat Greek yogurt and our whey protein concoction, and now we are going to pour it all on top. Now the main thing here is, again, the raspberries are nicely layered all across that. The last thing I want to do is have this drop on really hard and like press the raspberries off to the side. My goal is to have the raspberries stay on the top of the protein bars and not get mashed in. So I wanna make sure that when I pour this Greek yogurt whey protein combination, I wanna make sure that I'm pouring it slowly and across the entire thing. So that way, when it comes time to me spreading it across the entire bar, or the big bar, when it comes to me spreading around this whey protein and Greek yogurt combination, I'm not like pushing the raspberries off to the side too. All right, guys, so now that we have the raspberries spread all on top and we have the whey protein and Greek yogurt combination on top of that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start pressing slowly the Greek yogurt, going all across the pan. But again, my goal is not to move the raspberry layer that is underneath. My goal is only to move the Greek yogurt and whey protein combination on top to equally spread throughout this entire thing. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I know it's hard to see inside the pan, but it looks absolutely delicious once we spread that all out. Now comes the last ingredient, and that is going to be 200 grams of white chocolate chips. And this is my first time also doing this, but apparently the best time and the best way to melt these guys down is to throw it in the microwave here for 30 seconds. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it out of the microwave, we're gonna stir it up, throw it back in the microwave for another 30 seconds, stir it up, throw it back in the microwave again for another 30 seconds until we get the consistency that we can pour and equally spread this white chocolate across this entire pan of the raspberries and the Greek yogurt and the whey protein combination. And then after that, guys, comes the toughest part of it all. We have to throw it in the freezer and we have to wait for a little bit. All right, guys, so this is the fourth round of 30 seconds right here, and I'm gonna cut it a little bit short. And what we're gonna want to do is we're going to want to hurry on over so that this white chocolate is still nice and warm. So it makes pouring it on top of the protein bars nice and easy. So we're gonna mix it up one last time, and we're gonna start to drizzle it across the entire, oh my gosh, this looks so good. So we're gonna start drizzling it or spreading it all over on top of the protein bars here. I'm gonna call them protein bars because we'll be cutting them up in the future. So we're putting the white chocolate, melted white chocolate, all over the top of the protein bars, and I'm trying to be somewhat quick with this so that it doesn't harden. I want to be able to melt it and spread it around nice and easy, again, before this white chocolate melts, because if that happens, that's gonna get a little bit tough. Okay, I'm gonna call it right there. And oh gosh, there is a scout hair in here. Scout. Okay, we're good. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start spreading this white chocolate all around. And with this, I'm just trying to be light, so I'm not actually like pressing it into the Greek yogurt. I wanna make sure that it stays on top of the Greek yogurt. And honestly, if I were to do this recipe again, what I would probably do is I would probably throw the combination of the raspberries, the Greek yogurt, and the whey protein into the freezer for maybe like an hour or two and let that start to harden up. So that way this white chocolate is not actually melting into or in with the Greek yogurt. But again, this is our first time that we're doing this, and it's honestly turning out really, really good. Oh my gosh. Guys, I am so pumped. This looks so good. And as a little treat to myself, because I can, moment of silence. Always remember, guys, if you're making the recipes, you have my permission and you have full permission to be able to do that when you're making the recipes. So guys, this is what it is going to look like when it's all said and done. Again, if I were to backtrack and do this recipe again, I would throw the raspberry, whey protein, and plain non-fat Greek yogurt combination into the freezer for about 2 hours, and then pull it out, and then put the white chocolate on top of that, and then throw it back in the freezer. But guys, this is the first time that we've ever done this, and it's looking oh so good. And what we're gonna do now is try and find some room in the freezer. We're gonna move that stuff out of the way, throw this in there, and we'll see you guys later with the final product. You guys, look at this. So it is the next morning, and we might have dug into it last night to sample one of these guys, but guys, I'm excited. What we're gonna do now is we're going to cut into it. For this recipe, I have it basically split out so that we cut it into 6 different individual bars. So we are gonna do just that here today. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to grab a cutting board and going to grab a big ol' chef's knife, because we're gonna need some beef behind it to cut this guy. Hopefully, fingers are crossed that we're able to cut this with ease. So now that we have the parchment paper down, placed in there, what we can do is just lift it up and out. And again, this is the bottom of the bar right here. So the top of the bar with the raspberries is going to be on the bottom. So we're going to flip it on over. Oh, look at this. This is crazy looking. Oh my gosh. This looks so good. It's kind of wild looking, to be honest with you. I just randomly had this idea pop up in my brain, to be honest with you guys. So it is a complete trial and error. Look at this. This is what the total product looks like. And again, I did cut 1 bar off last night to give it a whirl, to sample it and try it out. Very excited for you guys to see what that also looks like. So basically we have 5 more portions to cut out of this. This might be a little bit difficult. We'll see how it goes. So this total length of this bar turned out to be 10.5 inches. So I believe if the math turned out right, each bar for this entire block should be about 1.5 inches. So when it comes to weighing this out, okay, this is something I wanna talk to you about, a little bit of an educational piece for you guys, because it's the same thing when it comes to like soup or anything else that you're not separately weighing out each thing into like a specific spot, if that makes sense. So with this, we took all of the ingredients from like a whole tub of Greek yogurt basically, 2 packs of raspberries, and basically what I did was I added them all up into a tracking app and tracked all of them. And then I took the protein, the carbs, and the fats and then divided it by 6. And I'll go over the macros and exactly what that looks like at the end, but for right now, guys, let's dive in and cut these 6 bars up, or at least we're gonna try. And again, guys, when it comes to having these, it's okay if one bar ends up weighing a little bit more than the other bar. This might be a little bit difficult, not gonna lie. There we go. Just takes a little bit of try. There we go. All right, so we got a little bit of crumble in action at the bottom, but that's okay. Look at that bar though. This looks awesome. Okay, so that's 1 bar. Now we are going to go to the second bar, taking our best guess here. But as I was saying, guys, when it comes to tracking this guy, just track it the same way for each bar. Yeah, each bar is not going to weigh the same when you actually have it, but as the week goes on and as you consume all 6 bars, in the end, you're gonna be consuming the same amount of macros at the end. So just keep that in mind. That goes with options, food options like this, or if you have other food options such as, let's say like a chili or a soup. That's always a good example because you can never control in soup how much beef is in that soup. Or you can never control how much, let's say, beans in that chili or anything like that that you scoop on in. So sometimes you can't be perfect, but it's going to be that consistency in the long run that truly pays off. So definitely just, if you make this and you're cutting it up, just keep the fingers out of the equation. We got 1 more cut to do. Do this recipe at your own risk, not at mine. I don't want any comments saying you lost a finger down below. Woo, I am pumped. All right, guys, so just like that, we got them all cut up into 5 separate bars. Look at this. All right, guys, so now comes the best part of the entire video, the time that we get to dive in and try this guy out. But guys, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you when it comes to taste testing this, because it is my first time ever making this and sampling it and giving it a go. I'm gonna be brutally honest with you guys because I don't want you guys wasting your time when it comes to making this if it doesn't get the seal of approval from me. So since I had a sample yesterday, I do have an idea and some extra ideas as to some other ways to go about making this recipe so it's a little bit better to eat. But no matter what, we're gonna hold it out strong with this recipe for this video, and we're gonna try this bad boy out. But first, before we do that, first things first, make sure you have yourself a napkin or a dirty towel or something nearby because it does get a little bit messy. And the first thing that I want to talk about are the calories and the macros for this thing too. Okay, so when it comes to the entire pan of all 6 bars, in total it is 1,893 calories, and we're looking at 141 grams of protein, 211 grams of carbs, and then 56 grams of fat for the entire pan, not just this 1 bar. So again, we cut this into 6 different bars, and what that looks like for calories and macros is going to be a little bit different. So for this 1 bar that you see right here, it is 314 calories. We have 23 grams of protein, which is ideal for a protein bar. We have 35 grams of carbs with the raspberries on top, a little bit of sugar in the white chocolate down below, and a tiny bit inside the Greek yogurt, and then 9 grams of fat, which is mainly from the white chocolate that is down below. But guys, I'm super pumped. Let's dive right into it. And again, it's gonna get a little bit messy, so maybe have a napkin nearby because it is frozen. So with that being said, the first suggestion that I would say is if you have at home the ability to like stick a popsicle stick right inside of this and make almost like popsicle or popsicles with the same recipe, that would be more ideal than just going handheld. That's just off of the first thing. And here's the second reason why I say that too. Oh, that's so good. Okay, so it's super cold, very refreshing. So with it being summertime, this guy is an absolute hit. It's kind of like a popsicle, but not as hard as a popsicle. It's a little bit softer, so you can still like, I'm gonna bite into it, okay, which you don't usually do with a popsicle. I'm gonna bite right into this guy. I just wanna make you mine. You can bite in with a little bit of ease. It's not that tough, but when it comes to the messy factor, it would definitely be nice to have like a popsicle stick going into it. And I know for a fact that you can buy like these plastic popsicle maker things where basically it has its own stick that goes inside of this, and then you can create this recipe inside of like these separate containers. That would be an awesome way to go about making this same exact recipe. And really when it comes to making that, you could take all 4 ingredients that we made here and then just blend them all in together that route too. And that would still be super tasty, super refreshing for a summer treat. But I'm not gonna lie, even though this is pretty messy, this is really, really tasty. And you get that nice crumble, that nice layer of white chocolate on the bottom. So good. Got one more bite. All right guys. So again, super tasty, very messy, but all in all, I'm still gonna rank it pretty high because with it being summertime again, something like this is just so ideal. And we're getting some healthy carbs up top. There is a little bit of chocolate, so again, 80-20. We got a little bit of chocolate on the bottom, but it just tastes like dessert. This is like a healthy dessert with a lot of protein in it, 23 grams of protein per each bar. You can't go wrong with that for a sweet grab and go treat to have on a hot summer day. So I think you guys will love it. If you guys give this a try, definitely leave a comment down in the comment section. Let me know that you gave it a try. If you added your own variation, your own spin-off to it, also let me know what you came up with. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button right here because I release a new YouTube video every single Monday and Thursday, and you don't want to miss out. And also, if you missed the last video, give that a watch right up here, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys give this recipe a go, give it a try, and you enjoy it. Peace out. We'll see ya in the next one.